everybody. Good morning. That's a lot better. My name is Kathy Mutlahlana, and I'm going to be your program director, at least for part of this morning. Later on, I'll also be introducing my partner in crime, Faith Mangope. We're going to be helping you navigate the program. Who's excited for today? Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. I think we've got a really excellent day that has been well thought out, relevant for the age that we're in, and also relevant for many of you who are in the room. Let me recognize some of the Miss South Africa delegates that were here for the master class. Miss South Africa delegates, hello. We want to recognize you, but also everybody that has taken the time out to come and be part of this program. So we are going to have discussions, panel discussions that are going to help us dig deeper into our theme, catalyzing culture and innovation. We all know that we have moved into the intelligent age, but what does that practically mean? And what do many of us in the room who are influencers, who are leaders of organizations, what do we need to be doing in order to ensure that we're well equipped for this age that we're in, but also that we're taking people along, making sure that nobody is left behind. So I know when you saw the dress code, the dress code, we were told we must wear something that is what? Made in Africa. So I know we can see the people that had sleepless nights. I want you to turn to the sister next to you and acknowledge her sleepless nights, okay? Acknowledge. So please acknowledge the sleepless nights, the WhatsApp texting, friend, this is the theme, what does it mean? Please unpack it for me. Do you think this is going to be fine? So really appreciate the fact that many of you, and probably all of you in this room, have honored the theme in the best way that you could by wearing something that is made in Africa. And when I look around the room this morning, I have such an appreciation for the continent that we live in. I mean, such beauty, right? The beauty is incredible. The colors are dynamic. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Yeah, we deserve it. We deserve it. So we've gathered here today on the eve of what is also a very significant calendar date. And this is with regard to what is happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 8th of March, which globally marks International Women's Day. So we won't be here tomorrow. We won't be together. So I want us to use this moment to wish the person next to you a happy International Women's Day in advance. This is for tomorrow. So you realize you're in trouble today, because if you're sitting next to somebody that you weren't speaking to 10 minutes ago, it's going to have to change. And the significance of International Women's Day is that it presents an opportunity for us to really sit and reflect on the status of women, not only locally, but also globally, because we recognize that the struggles that we face as women are not unique to ourselves in our locations. These are international struggles. These are interwoven struggles. And together, when one of us is able to shift the ceiling, move the bar, they do that not only for themselves, but they do that for other women, and hopefully for generations of women that are to follow them. So the hashtag is hashtag Accelerate Action. This is with regard to Women's Day. Our summit today is catalyzing culture and innovation. And it talks about the shift towards the intelligent age. What is this intelligent age that we're speaking about? The World Economic Forum defines the intelligent age as a transformative era driven by advancements in technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, blockchain, and an era that will fundamentally change how we live, how we work, and how we solve problems. It's transforming everything and changing it right now in real time. And I think that's a statement that many of us can resonate with, because you hear about the latest AI innovation, and I don't know about you, but you start thinking, wait, what is this? What's happening? Can somebody just stop and explain it to me? That's because everything is happening and shifting so rapidly. But how are we going to be affected by all of this? How does it change the way in which our societies are structured? How does it change the way in which our economies are shaped? How is it going to change and impact our cultures? All of this are conversations that we're hoping to shed a little bit more light on as we get through our program this morning. Here's what you can look forward to. We'll kick off the day with a panel discussion on leading in the intelligent age. Our speakers will share their insights into how industries are being transformed by AI and other advancing technologies. Our second panel will look at catalysts of culture. This session is going to look at individuals who have used their names, who have used their voices to drive awareness, advocacy, and activism to a wider audience. And our final panel is going to help us unpack life, work, and tech balance. Who can say they have that balance right? You know, the first thing you do is pull up your phone, go on WhatsApp before you've even said, "Morning, Lord, I'm awake. Thank you for another day." So we're going to learn tools on how exactly we can begin to bring in that balance, because technology is now going to be such a big part of our lives. But our final session for the day is really going to be touching everybody on their money studio. We'll be talking about embracing abundance. We all want to be successful, right? Create generational wealth, build things that outlive us and outlast us. So that is what the last session of the day is going to be focusing on. In between all of this, there will be entertainment. We're going to have live fashion shows. So it's going to be lots of different moving parts. Prepare yourself. I hope you're ready to take it all in. We're going to stimulate your intellect. We're going to feed your eyes. And hopefully it will be a wonderful, wholesome experience that you will walk away with, looking forward to GWAL, the 10th edition, 2026, booking your ticket in advance, saying, "Count me in, count me in." So on that note, the only thing I have to ask, ladies, because I am struggling to spot the men in the room, there's at least two. Okay, fine, leave four. Hey. Are you ready for us to get into the day? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Wonderful. On that note, please help me welcome our very, very gracious host, the lovely convener of the GWAL Summit, a lady that needs no introduction, Dr. Precious Moloi Motsepe. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she comes up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning, everyone. Oh, wow. That's more like it. That sounds great. Thank you so much. It's really good to see all of you at this 9th GWAL program. I can't believe that Kathy said we're almost 10 years old. It is incredible. And the faces I see in front of me, people I've seen over the past 9 years of GWAL, thank you so much. My dear friends, I really appreciate how you have supported our program. When we started this GWAL, the program, within the Motsepe Foundation, our goal was to amplify the voices of women worldwide who believe in equality as a means to create better communities and a better world for all of us. According to the World Economic Forum, it will take us 5 generations at the current pace at which we are going to achieve full gender equality. Now, we have young people in our audience. Not even when you are as old as I am will we have reached gender equality at the pace that we are going. But we must never allow that to deter us. We know what we want. We must keep the goal within our reach. We must remain resolute and intentional in our demands for equality. For 9 years, we have brought together women of all ages and all sectors and all levels in order to share knowledge, insights, and strategies for achieving gender equality in our lifetime. As Nelson Mandela once said, it always seems impossible, and we will get there. We must continue to push forward. We must make those small changes. You know, that's how a clock moves. Sometimes you don't even see it. It's very small little ticks at a time before you get to an hour. And I promise you, we will get there. Today, our focus is on harnessing the power of the intelligent age. Kathy has already told us the age of AI, to lead in our own areas of influence. You must never think that others deserve the leadership position and you don't. You lead in your own sphere. So we must take it upon ourselves to leverage this new age of technology in order that we can become better leaders. And as women, we often take on more responsibility than we should, and then we neglect ourselves. Sounds familiar? So we have a session today on how we can balance work and play and family, and also how we can use technology to empower us, to help us, instead of impeding us in our work. We need to find strategies for coping, and I'm pleased that we have a panel that will help us with that. We are also proud to feature a panel on women and culture, and this speaks to media. It's so important that we have women representing us in the media. And over the last, I don't know how many years, we've worked with Kathy as well as our beautiful young, my daughter, I call her. We've worked together to make sure that women in media are represented. We want to hear those voices. We want to see more women represented in media. I worked with a group of young, I think it must have been matric students, the Girls in STEM program. We grade 9 and 10, yeah. Very young group, and the question to them was, a man and his child get involved in an accident, and you know that. And when the father dies, and when the child gets to the hospital, the surgeon says, sorry, I cannot operate on this child. It is my child. It is my child. So I asked them, so why did the surgeon say that? And the answer was, or maybe the surgeon had an extramarital affair, or maybe the father didn't know that the wife had this and that. And the simple answer, because you know it, is, what about the mother? That the mother was a surgeon. The surgeon was the mother, and she couldn't operate on the child. But for them, and it really worried me at that age that they didn't connect that the person who was a surgeon could have been the mother. It means we ourselves suffer from that kind of bias. We don't locate ourselves in those leadership positions, you know. When you get on the plane and you see a woman pilot, you're like, woo, are we gonna survive? We also carry those biases. So check, Every time you say, I can't, you have to ask yourself why. Every time you say another woman cannot, ask yourself why, okay? Or why not? So today, as we commemorate International Women's Day, or which is tomorrow, we acknowledge the progress that we have made, but we recognize that more work still needs to be done. We aim to inspire collective effort from every one of you to create meaningful change. And our theme of catalyzing culture and innovation is appropriate at this time as we see the rapid changes in our lives and in our world. Our digital spaces have become polarized, and you guys know that who are dealing with AI. AI works on what we feed it. And because there is such a paucity of women data, AI becomes automatically biased. So we need all of you Miss South Africas, young wannabe Miss South Africas, you need to get into that space so that we are represented as women. So today's panel will shed a light on the path forward for us, and I hope that you will leave this place feeling very renewed, very energetic, and ready to make a difference. It's not gonna happen until you make that change, until you sign up. And lastly, I want to remind you, AFI this year has partnered with the Met Gala in New York, okay? And our atelier is going to be showcasing a collection named the Black Dandy. Now, yes, you remember Sophiatown, you know all that story, the Black Dandies. This is the theme for the Met Gala, and AFI and our team will be making a collection. They will showcase a collection here towards that theme, and they are making another collection for the Met Gala. So I want to congratulate you guys because this is big, and we are very proud of you. And for us women here, I want to urge you to please ask questions, engage, and let's share knowledge and experiences so that we can move forward. And remember, it's always nothing for us without us. And therefore, please, let's get on with this gender equality thing. It is going to happen in our lifetime only if you participate and you drive it. With that said, I want to say thank you very much.
I think I see a situation where men and women are not distinguished by their gender, especially from a leadership perspective, that leaders are leaders, and the barriers that women are currently facing now are no longer barriers. Where we all are the same, there are no double standards, and everybody's able to perform at the level that they are supposed to perform.
It's important for us to work closely with communities that we serve, to build meaningful relationships that truly drive change. The Girls in STEM program has been a highlight.
Looking at where I've started and where I currently am and all the achievements, those are the things that have been motivating me to never give up and just keep on pushing.
In my mind, a gender equal world is a world where women are empowered, women feel empowered, where their decisions come from a place of empowerment in whatever space that they fill, that they are equal, and where the world supports their dreams and aspirations and their ideas and whatever position that they're in.
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, take a chance, and when the opportunity presents itself, be ready to immerse yourself completely.
The most important thing is being true to yourself and sticking to what you keep doing, because the moment you start seeing what the neighbor is doing and trying to imitate that, you lose it. So it's very important to be bold, to be loud, to be exactly who you are. In that way, we're going to see you unique and we're going to follow whatever you do because you are being true to yourself.
For women, the challenges are much more greater than it is for men. Especially in sports, we are very, very far. So sports is very important, especially track and field, especially at school. very, very important. The integration of seeing women and becoming better people, even at leadership roles. If you start in a sports role, trust me, you'll have great leaders in general in society.
With Motsepe Foundation intervening and making sure that Banyana Banyana participates in the FIFA Women's World Cup, we went on to become history makers in becoming the first team to be in the top 16. It's a positive way of opening routes for many girls to be encouraged and becoming their own bosses. I'd like to say thank you so much to Motsepe Foundation for making sure that they become a positive impact and they do rather than speak.
I think it will help a great deal within the family structure. When the child grows up and see how the behavior between his parents are. So if there is respect, which this child emulates, they grow up into strong, respectful young people.
We have to intensify the fight for gender equality by being very intentional, very deliberate, and very strategic and targeted. Because I believe as long as we do not have targeted, intentional, and deliberate action, we're not going to achieve anything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Precious, for those opening remarks. You've set the tone. On that note, please help me welcome onto stage to really get us into our list of speakers. A woman that would probably be no stranger to many of you because her office is an office that is always in the public eye, which is why it's called the Public Protector. Trust me, she's not as young as she looks. I know she looks like she's fresh out of university, but she is a fully qualified advocate who served as the Deputy Public Protector before. And she is going to be coming up. We're going to have a fireside conversation, and we're going to be looking into the lessons learned while leading an organization into the intelligent age. And we'll explore the ways in which technology is disrupting our efforts and approaches in addressing human rights and ethics. Please give a warm round of applause for Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka. All right, so firstly, Advocate, the place to start is you've clearly risked it all by coming here this morning. You should probably be at home resting your feet, but we really, really appreciate the fact that you took the time to come out and spend the day with us and share your insights with us. And we hope that you're going to get well soon.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and a special greeting to Dr. Precious Moloi Motsepe, the Motsepe Foundation, and guests here. Look, our society has become so rapid. There's no time for me to rest. I have to be on the go.
Absolutely. A woman on her feet is exactly what you are. Advocate, when we look at the intelligent age and we try and grapple with what exactly it means for us today, maybe just an opportunity for you to reflect more broadly on this idea of catalyzing change, catalyzing innovation, perhaps from the context of the organization that you're leading.
It's scary, I must say. It's unpredictable, and mainly, especially for people of my age group and those ahead of me, it's an unheard of. You know, and that is why it's very critical to tread carefully, but at the same time, it's to harness the opportunity that it presents. For instance, I took over an organization in crisis, and I had to find a way of where do I start. And digitization became an easy form for me. First of all, communicating the messaging into our diverse society, but speedily transforming the organization from where we were at. And when I look at the time when I started acting in 2022 and now, it's almost the institution I do not know, because that's how fast and rapidly we've managed to transform. And we utilized technology, you know, but at the same time, we had to become mindful of the society in which we are at. We had to ensure that we are inclusive, not just inclusive in terms of access, but that communities are able to participate in our programs, but also leveraging on the opportunity that we do not have as much skill as we ought to have. Now, what does technology then present to complement that? We look into our affluent communities and members of society, and we've designed a technology, our case management system, they are able to access, and next month we are actually launching our self-service portal where communities who are affluent are able to access our services technologically whilst we use the limited resources to physically be accessible to the less affluent and rural communities.
Most of the time, when people look at the institution of the public protector, we are judging the work that you are doing based on our own personal experiences, but also based on what we see in the media, right? We don't think about the systems that need to be in place in the back end to enable your data collection so that you're actually able to look at whatever cases are brought before you. So maybe bring us into that world a little bit and how it works.
We have a multifactorial system, right? Complaints to us are brought in through technology, and by the way, which is vastly used. About 67% of our complaints we receive through email, telephonically, and only around 30% are actually walk-ins, and those which we access physically. So one of the things that we have done is to ensure that we've got a proper complaints resolution mechanism starting from the complaining part of the system, but also our screening process, which is now on the digital platform through our case management system. But also it helps us in the ethical conduct of the public protector. So even I, as a public protector, even if you would complain to me directly, I can't take that complaint and investigate it because our systems don't allow it anymore. It has to go through the case management system, which clearly shows the ecosystem of the case. It goes through a screening process, assessment, allocation process, and the public protector, even in line with the system, is the last end within the system. So we need to ensure that we are ethical in the manner in which we do our investigations, but also speedily. Now, through the case management system, we are able to do our file inspections, we are able to pend our matters, monitor, assess, give instructions through the system. So whether somebody's with you or in Gauteng, in another province, anywhere in the country, we are able to communicate. So basically that is the ecosystem of a public protector case.
There's a big debate around human rights and the advancement of technology and the ways in which this era that we are living in either enables greater access to human rights, or if it fractures and it closes off the opportunities. So as you're speaking and you're telling us 70% of your cases are lodged online, I have to think, well, what happens if I don't have an email address? Yes. What happens if I don't have access to data? It's great that if I'm in Johannesburg, I can quickly type it up on my phone and send it through to the public protector. But where are the gaps that the move and the shift to technology, where are the gaps, where do they lie, and how are you solving for that real time to ensure that all of us as humanity, as a society, are brought along?
I must mention that and for most organizations, not just the public protector, especially in South Africa, it must be difficult because we don't have a clear legislation as yet on AI. Now, let alone on the inclusivity of AI. Now, what we rely on as a public protector is really our networks around the globe, where we take from the lessons of the OECD, the United Nations, and the United Nations, for which our country has also made contributions to, has become quite progressive on its recommendations, clearly stating that in the definition of AI, you must include human rights and fundamental freedoms. So it is from there really that we take even our current draft policy. We have got a draft policy as the public protector on AI, because that is really what we utilize, maybe not AI specifically, but characteristics thereof. Now, it is very clear that it has to be inclusive, it has to be fair, it has to be just, and it needs to be a participatory process for all involved. So it must not be a process which leaves society outside, but it must actually draw society into decision making. Now, what is critical for leaders is that as we process our decision making, we need to consider the material conditions of our society. And for South Africa, it's a very difficult one. Earlier on, Kathy, we discussed about children, the rapid growth of children. But when you look at children in rural areas, it is still a challenge. We still work with schools where children have never seen a computer. Now, what does that mean for them? Where is human rights in that? Because fundamentally to human rights is access to opportunities. Now, what access to opportunities are they going to have? Hence, it is then important for leadership to really consider the aspects of human rights, and part of that is, and as I see in the Motsepe Foundation on its gender equality, and that is also important. Where does it leave the girl child, and women vastly to access these opportunities? So social justice must be at the center of the development around our digital transformation. Without that, we can't achieve human rights. When we look at the Sustainable Development Report to South Africa released last year, it still characterizes us as the most unequal society. And it is actually deepening. It's not becoming better. Unemployment, youth and women are at the center for that. We are becoming more impoverished. Now, AI for me presents us with the opportunity on data collection. We will know exactly where we are and where we stand. And that will inform us on what we ought to do. And the good characteristics of AI, as exemplified by the UN, is predictions. Now, how do we utilize these predictions in the sustainable development? Climate change, diseases, poverty, how the future is likely to look like. But at the same time, how do we protect this data? How do we ensure privacy of humankind? So it is still important in this era of digital transformation that the human factor becomes a center of this development.
In this room, we know are very powerful women who are leading organizations and who are able to influence and shape society. What do you think are some of the considerations that they have to maybe keep in mind, is the phrase, as they make decisions around the evolution of their businesses that ultimately will impact society? Let's talk about the values, let's talk about the ethical considerations that you think we must just take note of.
One thing about women is our intuition, right? and our values. And I think we should never lose that. We should never lose what our grandmothers and mothers taught us around intuition and values. And I know that we are under a lot of pressure in this phase of taking up big roles within the corporate sector, both in public and private. But I think the reality why, though our forebears fought for gender equality, is because of the unique characteristics that women bring onto the table. So we must not forget about that. And it is those characteristics, our culture as women, our intuition and our values, that we must put forward. And Dr. Masipe spoke about young women having to ensure that they swell the ranks of this space. But as they go into it, we and those who came before us need to walk the journey with them, because we shouldn't lose what we've learned, but we should just transform it into these systems. So as they form part of the development of these systems, the deployment of these systems, the decision-making, the use of these systems, let us not forget the core of humankind, and let's ensure that that becomes the fundamental value of what we build for the future.
Then, to wrap it up, Advocate, do you ultimately believe that technology is going to help increase access to justice?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I think we explored that in the report which we issued in June last year on gender-based violence, where it showed how the lack of transformation of the Department of Justice into the IT system is hindering reporting of GBV and maintenance cases. And that's clearly provided for in the Act. And if women and people at large would have a 24-hour access into a system, and let's use the system in twofold. Earlier on, you spoke about what happens to those who do not have an iPhone, who do not have Android. As the public protector, we've actually put in place the Call Me Back system. So those are for the phones that do not have the advances that Android and iPhone, for instance, have. And our call center readily is available to phone back, take complaints at hand. So we need to look at both angles, but at the same time, access to justice means that as we transform within the phases, we need to put communities at the center, present them with the opportunities, and what is critical for us is infrastructure. There can't be access without the required infrastructure. It is pivotal. So as we speak of access to justice, there must also be access to all the factors that lead up to the justice, because justice is not just the rule of law. Justice is equity. Justice is inclusivity. And ultimately, we must be able to achieve equality.
Advocate Gcaleka, let me thank you so much for your time and for your insights. And anybody who's got complaints that you want to lodge with the public protector, let me give you just a minute to do your public due diligence. So, Advocate Gcaleka, your parting shot, a little promo for your office. You might get a lot of complaints out of this meeting today,
I think besides the complaints, I must say the public protector as an institution is quite a young institution in terms of our characteristics. I'm not young anymore, so I'm attracting a lot of young people, and that is what is actually assisting us in this transformational phase. The head of our business architecture and development is less than 35. So he is actually driving our digital transformation. And please, young people, it is an environment which you can flourish. The leadership at Public Protector is very open to young minds, and that is what we require, because protecting human rights is actually at the center of fighting corruption. the biggest hindrance of us advancing as a society is corruption. The reason why we are unable to attain the equitable society that we want is a lack of good governance. So what we do require is young people who are going to assist us to speedily resolve our complaints, to ensure that we are data-centric in the reports and recommendations and remedial actions that we are coming up with, that we function at real time. And truth be told, we require youth. We require more innovative and creative minds to do that. Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like the public protector is open for business, everybody. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Unkulunkulu
Whenever somebody suggests that this country doesn't have talent, please tell them that you know otherwise, right? That they are absolutely, absolutely wrong. Please let's give Ms. Tlabangani another round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, ma'am.